Well, it's the end of the week. We're into Friday. Thanks for making time. Look at that weather out there. Look what we got again today across the province. Those of you that are up north around the Saskatoon area, I heard it came down today. We're talking like, accumulation. A foot, half a foot. People are shoveling. I was getting pictures. Keep us updated on anything on the roads that we want, that we can pass on 936-6262 throughout the show. We live in a weird place, weather-wise. I'm a golfer. A lot of you are probably golfers. You're looking outside and it's like, what? We could be playing right now. We're not. 3 hours. Man, there's some news going around pertaining to the city of Regina that we'll get into today. Looks like Brandt Group interested in buying a number of buildings on the real campus, including the Brandt Center. That came from left field. I heard it yesterday for the first time. I didn't want to be Johnny Break News guy. And I was like, really? And things have snowballed really quick here. It sounds like that's going to happen. So many questions. I'm sure you have questions. We're going to hear some audio from the press conference in a bit. And then in hour 2, Daren Anderson, CFO of the city, will be in studio to chat about it. Also coming up in the program, Farhan Lalji. We'll talk NFL draft, CFL draft, football, a little bit on the Canucks. He's in hour 1, hour 2, NHL Insider. Eric Francis might call in, by the way, Colson. But filling in for Eric Francis, who it'll be 11-something in Ireland where he is. So if Off the Rails Friday, we could continue that trend if he does call in. But Brent Krahn is going to come in, former NHL goaltender and Calgary Hitman. He was on the other day. Great guy. He's going to be filling in. Again, like I said, Daren Anderson in studio in hour 2. Hour 3, John Keane, WHL Insider, from Lanigan, Saskatchewan. Let's get a lay of the land for Prince Albert Medicine Hat, which starts tonight. Oh, yeah. That's some good hockey. Congratulations to the Flin Flon Bombers. First SJHL championship, 33 years, 1993.
That's the headline I saw.
That is a long... Anybody that's in the hockey circle and hockey world, you're like... It seems like they kind of are there every year. They haven't won it in 33 years. Mike Reagan and his crew, big congratulations. Congratulations to the Yorkton Terriers as well for getting there, because they got a young squad in Yorkton. Right pieces come back, they're going to be back. So the SJHL final wrapped up last night, 4-game sweep for Flin Flon, and now they get set to go to Summerside PEI for Nationals a couple weeks' time. Regina Pat Canadians at Nationals playing the early game again today, 9 a.m. our time. They got out to a good lead again. 5-2 at one point. The game ends 5-4. Okanagan was pushing. Okanagan they had chances right till the bitter end. This Braden Jugnarth for Okanagan, I think somebody texted me and said, let me just confirm here, that this kid was all over the ice, all over the score sheet. We got Maddox Schultz. We know that. Yeah, this kid's a 2011. He just turned 15, and he was the best player for Okanagan in this tournament. But Pat C's will finish first after the round robin. Now they are just waiting. It looks like it's going to be Halifax tomorrow. Halifax, that McDonald's team, gave them all they could handle the other day. So it's not getting any easier from here. 5-4 win there. NHL playoffs continuing tonight. We're going to get to that in a bit as well. We love when you participate. If you're watching the program on YouTube, you can go to the YouTube chat. If not, Prairie Land Rentals text line 306-936-6262. Prairie Land Rentals located at 600 Albert Street. You get to deal with the owner. Whatever you need for that project, they can probably rent it to you. Let us know if I'm sure a few of you have comments on this sale of the Brandt Center that's going to go to Executive Council next week, and we'll be chatting about it. Sure, fire away. What are you thinking out there? I have never ran a facility that big, or facilities, or an exhibition park, so I'm no expert on it. As an outsider, if it makes sense financially to the taxpayers, and you have someone that is going to jump in with both feet and do a bunch of upgrades and explore it. And there's people way smarter than me. One of them is going to be sitting in that chair over there in hour 2, Daren Anderson from the city. Sure. Does it make financial sense? Okay. Maybe the city probably shouldn't be in that business. Sounds like Agribition will continue. There's an agreement there. That's great, because that brings in millions and millions to the city. We need that. They're not going to touch the soccer center, the cooperator center.
You want the map?
Those kind of, if you got the map, sure. If people are watching along on YouTube, there's the map. Yeah. Sell to Brandt, retain to city.
So Confederation Park and Mosaic Stadium, city's keeping that.
Mosaics, yeah. So before you start running around with your head cut off. Oh my God.
Yeah, city's keeping that. Affinity Plex, the soccer facility, and the Cooperator Center where all the rinks are, city is keeping that.
Okay.
The International Trade Center, the Bungie International Trade Center, the city is keeping that, but I understand that it is going to be leased to Brandt, and they are going to fully run it.
Okay.
So that's where it gets a little gray, and then everything else that I haven't listed.
Havana Center.
Yeah.
What's that? I can't read the other one there. I don't even know what these buildings are called. Kind of where the pickleball is.
Yeah.
Pickleball's now falling under Brandt.
Yeah, the Havana Center, above that's the Stockman's Arena and the Cattle Barn.
Yeah.
Those are going to Brandt. The Brandt Center, the Queensbury Convention, and kind of everything in between those, the YQR Distillery, and then all the parking lots that are like south of that.
Yeah, they're getting some park. What about, I see the McDonald's.
They're getting the McDonald's too.
Picking up a McD's in the deal.
There you go.
There we go. When Daren comes in, I want to know what the McDonald's is actually worth. So I see it here on this transactional value to taxpayers. I don't know. Have you ever seen a McDonald's close? Probably a good investment then.
Yeah, I can't say I have. And in the cases where I have, it's like, oh, we're building a new one 2 blocks down where it's more attractive now because the city's been developing, whatever, right? So it's not a closing, it's a moving.
They're very strategic. One of my favorite movies, The Founder, I think. If you can get your hands on a McDonald's, you jump at it. Probably like a Tim Hortons. Probably. And you hang on and you make money. Unless, like, I'm sure the areas, you don't want the transient and all that. You got to be careful on that. That'd be a headache for sure in some areas of that. But the McDonald's is in here. The McDonald's is in the mixer. So Brand 6. Hey, sure, I'm all ears. Let's figure it out. The city, and to their own admission, probably would say we haven't been great at running these things. This isn't our forte. It's 2026 too. That's like so much has changed from him. Like, well, in 1977, when we made Agrodome, a lot has changed, starting with everything. Somebody used to deliver paper to your house, and that's how you used to consume your news. Where now you do it on this, and it like is 4 seconds. Or
our pipes aren't made of lead anymore. I know that wasn't the 70s, but still.
Leaded gasoline.
Yeah.
In the 70s. We do have some audio here. The first one, I think it's Daren Anderson talking when the question was, why would Brandt buy the Brandt Center?
They are highly motivated to make that space even better than it is today. So they're one of the major tenants of that space right now, through ownership of the Regina Pats and the 99-year lease they have on the Agribition building. And, they see the challenges that the city has with that property and have, saw an opportunity for them to invest in the properties and bring the level of service up to something that them and their employees and customers that they bring into the city would appreciate.
Makes sense. Would love to talk to somebody from Brandt. I don't think Sean Semple's coming through that door and sitting down here anytime soon. But it'd be really cool to, where did this dream come from? Or what is the dream? What is the plan? All that. You can make anything happen. It's like money doesn't buy you happiness. It's like, try me. Brandon on the text line says, would selling those facilities affect the Grey Cup festivities? Doubt it. Probably not, right, Brandon? You're not going to want to leave those empty. Those are going to be maybe there's a deal in place. There's probably a deal in place too, where it's like, you got to follow through on this, that, and the other. Benny on the Prairie Land Rentals text line, can we get more minor hockey and AAA in the Brandt? I don't like I was thinking about this today. I don't like the AAA team playing in the Brandt. Concession prices drop to create revenue, more games in there. You get a Starbucks, Hilton, and a Cactus Club. Of course, you belly up to the old bar there, eh, Benny? In the brand new parking lot they need to build. Thoughts, investors, Benny? They can do whatever. Yeah, they can make whatever happen at this point. I know that is one thing that a bunch of people are going to be. It's like, okay, now you control the concessions. What do you do with prices? How do you get more people in?
You'd be like Costco and put the hot dogs at $1.50 and never change them.
Partner with Costco.
Hey.
Heck, put a Costco in there at this point. Sure, let's go. Travel to Winnipeg and study the Forks and Pine Ridge Hollow and create that vibe Regina lacks central gathering spot. True. It'd be tough though. Tough, Ben. In this day and age and what we have, you drive around, you see it. I want to be positive and optimistic, but even Saskatoon downtown, hey, like I say, Saskatoon people, cocky as people. They think they're living in Greenwich Village. I know that. I'm from there. I was there. I was part of it. It's like, down, no name. Somebody asked this in the press conference, and I laughed out loud. Is there, what does this do for new plans for the new arena? There's no new arena. There is no. You know how expensive? Did you see the Saskatoon? How they bailed on theirs and they had like private partners and the cost. $1.2 billion downtown arena district for Saskatoon. Sure. Yeah. There ain't no new arena. Let's hope Brandt grabs it, spruces it up. They're building that House of Blues thingamajig. They're doing that. They're doing a lot of digging underneath right now. Let's hope they just make it what we hope. And then, because they don't really need the cash, thanks a billion. We saw the coverings on all the seats there. When you got that much money and you're bragging about it, you don't really need it. So then pass it on to everybody. What's our cost? Let's just go a little bit over. Everyone gets a nice paycheck. And just make the building full and cool and events. And we're not here to really make money because we got billions, apparently. Doesn't that sound right? I know a lot of, like, not that wealthy. I know a lot of wealthy people, and they're like, I don't need to make money on this. As long as is your community good? Is the community's good? Okay, cool. I'm not running for politics. Someone's saying that on the chat line. I would possibly in the right. I think the only politics I'd run for would be federal. And it would be hard to have a filter. I'd be saying pigeon. I'd be saying a lot of those kind of words.
That'd be fun to watch.
Maybe. You never say never.
I think it was Benny saying he should run for council. Benny
can too. Let's go, Benny. Farhan Lalji should be around with us shortly here. We'll go to break. We got more coming up on us. Keep the text messages coming. Some of you are funny. 936-6262. It is the Sports Cage on this Friday for Nelson Home, streaming through our YouTube channel at sportscage.com. Big news in Regina today, Farhan. There's Brandt group of companies looks to be purchasing the hockey rink, the Brandt Center. The Pats playing a couple other old buildings in there and on the campus, and making it their own and sprucing it up.
Well, they do a pretty good job with what they're currently running, and it's a pretty visible brand in the market, so I think it'll be a good thing. As long as they keep hiring you to host big events.
Yeah, can't see that happening. Can't say my hosting days are behind me. I like being a dad.
All right.
Okay, you know what I mean.
You got a lot of hockey to watch as a dad. I know. You got a lot of hockey to watch.
Man, speaking of watching, we talked about this yesterday too. It's really hard to fathom when you saw those aerial views of Pittsburgh, how many people were at the NFL draft, let alone the people that would have been watching it around the world. Just the spectacle that is the NFL draft and where it is in our current life, Farhan, is mind-blowing.
Yeah, you're right. And, when you look at just, for example, ESPN's coverage, right? Like when you get to the college football playoff, all they're doing at that point is promoting the NFL draft, right? And all the coverage when you get into those bigger games, because they know all these guys are going to get named. That's the captive audience. And when you look at that sea of people, and it's like that everywhere, like I remember going to Tennessee and watching it in Nashville, and there was some concern about the weather and were they going to have to move it down to a theater, and they had basically simultaneous setups going. Pittsburgh, obviously, one of the meccas of the NFL, and where the sport matters so much. So some great scenes, no doubt, and the NFL knows how to put on this show. And, it used to be at Radio City Music Hall all the time. The league got wise to it and said, okay, we need to branch this out across the league because there's some cities that are never going to get a Super Bowl. Right. Yeah. And that's generally where the draft goes, right? Because, we know who's on the rotation for the Super Bowl. So we can take this here. They're talking about taking the combine elsewhere, see if that ever happens. But it's this is such an important event for the league, and they know how to put on a party.
Surprised what Arizona did at 3 with Jeremiah Love?
Yeah, look, I think Jeremiah Love's a fantastic player, but I'm just surprised that they had so many other core needs to address. And I just think running back is generally not a core need for a team, right? You got to make sure the offensive line is good. You've got to make sure you get some defensive things taken care of so you're not having to put up 30 points a game. They have so many holes on that team that while we may look at this 5 years from now and say Jeremiah Love was the best player in this draft, is he the right player for the Cardinals at this time? And I'm just not quite sure he is.
Just everything, I'm not in the weeds deep, and I was just this Ty Simpson, and I'm like, well, I wonder where he will go. Will he go late first? Will he slide it? And then the Rams, I don't know a lot of people that had that one 13th.
Yeah, to be truthful, I'd heard the Rams in the conversation for Ty Simpson, but like any other team that was, I think the thought was that they would trade back in late in the first round, right? Like a team like Seattle at 32nd was openly, trying to move their pick. They couldn't because a bunch of guys right above them all moved their picks. So, this happens. Like you go back and look at Lamar Jackson. I'm not comparing the players, just the situations where Baltimore trades back up at the end of the round just to go get him because then you can get the 5th year on the contract, right? Whereas everybody round 2 and after is a 4-year contract, right? So that's what I thought would happen. And it's weird because when you looked at the post-draft availabilities with GM Les Snead and head coach Sean McVay, you wonder if the two of them were on the same page. Snead was advising Simpson's father, who is the head coach at Tennessee Martin, about whether or not he should come out and things like that. So maybe there were some assurances given there. I don't know. But it just makes no sense to me that a team that is in win now mode, like you got Matthew Stafford at 40, right? And if you're going to win now, it's with him. There are a lot of other areas that they could improve that team. They've got some holes along the offensive line. They could have got better there. It didn't make sense to me. And then the last thing, have the last few drafts not taught us, going back to Trey Lance and others, 15 games, one season as a starter in college is just not enough. And while I think Simpson's going to be a good player, he does not have enough of a sample size to go 13th in this draft.
Yeah, I had a Rams fan, a guy that's a hardcore Rams fan, and I'm like, what do you think about that? And he's like, swearing and this, and talked about kind of...
Yeah, but how are the Rams known? How are the Rams known? They trade their picks all the time. Right? Like people just look at them and say, this team's not serious about the draft. And when you make a move like that, it feeds into that narrative.
And especially you're so close. You're right there. And then Akeem Messidor, Canadian, 22nd. Like I saw the video and his home and Ottawa and all that. Great story for Canadian football.
Yeah, it is, right? And, the only mark on Messidor going into this draft was just his age, right? Because he's 25 and, that's pretty old, right? But at the same time, when you look at his production, you can't argue with it. And, even at 25, he can get into a second contract because pass rushers generally tend to age well, until their early 30s, right? So he could get into a second contract. I don't know that he's going to get a third, but if most teams don't care about that, right? I think that he was almost underrated this season because of how good Ruben Bain was next to him at the University of Miami. And it's not like teams giving so much attention to Bain open things up for Messidor. They were really a 1-2 punch, and you could move those guys all over the place. Messidor had played tackle at different points in his career when he was at West Virginia, cut some weight to be a full-time edge guy, but then they still managed, they matched him up inside and put him over guards at times. So I think he's a really, really versatile player, and I think he's going to live up to the draft spot. We kind of thought he would go in the back third of the first round, and that's where he went, and good for him. And wow, like when you look at both the CFL and NFL drafts right now, Ottawa is representing.
Anything else as far as Canadians on the NFL draft that you're curious to see?
Yeah, I mean, Logan Taylor probably gets selected out of Boston College, and then we'll see about Rene Congo, who had a really good pro day. And, there'll kind of be a maximum of 3 guys, in my opinion, that get drafted. I think it'll be a real long shot for Albert Reese, the offensive lineman from Edmonton who played at Mississippi State. Probably more of a UDFA, although he had a very good pro day and might sneak into round 7. And all of that's obviously going to affect where those guys go in the CFL. But, we'll look at those later rounds and look at potential undrafted free agents and guys that get a shot between now and when we start picking in the CFL draft on Tuesday.
Yeah. How much does it affect what CFL teams are going to do next week? And is it more in our current state where we are than, let's say, it was 10, 15 years ago because we weren't seeing a lot of Canadians sniffing in that NFL draft?
Yeah, I think there's more, but like a player like Messidor, for example, I don't think he's even going to get taken in the CFL draft, right? Because he's 25 and he got taken so high, he's going to have a long runway in the NFL. And by that point, even if he flames out, it would be 5-6 years and he'd have generational wealth, right? So I just don't see that happening. But for the other guys, I'm curious to see where some of the other players that I mentioned, the Taylors and the Congos and a few of those guys, to see how much they get affected. Because, the challenge is that now there's no limit on practice rosters, right? There was a time when you couldn't do more than 3 years on a practice roster. Now you can do forever on a practice roster, right? Dakota Shepley, you look at him and the amount of time he spent down on various teams. You can do 5 years, put no wear and tear on your body, make as much or more than you're going to make, in Canada and get out of your career free. Injury free. And then it just will come down to whether or not, how badly you want to actually play, and Dakota certainly did. So the CFL will get to see him for a few years, and that's good. But I just think it's so much harder to get those players back. You usually knew by the end of the second year if they were coming back. On top of that, there's only one cut down date, right? And that's in September. So, all of those things make it harder for CFL teams to make that determination.
Prospects going into the CFL draft. I'm not going to ask you to give us a mock draft here, but you're in tune. Your boots on the ground. You know what are you thinking for the CFL draft as far as talent deep? Same as last year, a little bit better.
I think it's deeper, but it's not as high at the top end, right? You've always got to eliminate a player like Messidor, who you certainly could say is a top end guy, but I think we're going to see linemen rise really quickly again. We've seen a little bit less of that in the last couple of years, where it's been heavily O-line dominated, and I think it probably will be a little more so. I think you got a couple of really, really good linebackers that are available in this year's draft that have ratio change ability that are tied to them. Eric Rasko and Darius McKenzie and a couple of these guys. There's some guys there that could, Daryl Jabom. They could be guys that can change the ratio for a CFL team. So, I do expect to see at the top of my draft, I think is going to be Gio Vaccaro, who played at Purdue last year, was primarily a backup, but the previous years to that was a dominant U Sports lineman at the University of Manitoba. So I think he's a guy that's, you're going to get him day one in the CFL. Nicholas Henning is a really intriguing prospect to me, because 2 years ago, this guy was like a tight end H-back, and now he destroyed the testing at this year's CFL Combine after 2 years moving to offensive tackle. So I think people believe that he could play tackle in the CFL. His feet and athleticism is that good, but he's raw and isn't going to be ready to play this year as a starter. But there's just such a ceiling there. So, where does he go? He'll go in the first round for sure, but where exactly? So, there's a few players there that really interest me.
Is it like, if we go back, let's even go back 20 years, and now the amount of work and what CFL teams have to do to, scout and make sure these picks have some value, have some substance. Because like you said, you look at just the old linemen, and I'm going through here some of them, or Charlie Parks, a kid from Regina on the defensive end, just the amount of work now compared to maybe kind of when you were starting out, because was it a little bit of an afterthought, back in the day?
I think afterthought might be strong, but to your point, I think there's a lot more work being done now, because I think back then there were a few guys in the CFL who just felt they were the smartest guy in the room, right? And that they knew something that nobody else did, and they could find a guy that's hidden and that might have somehow a Canadian eligibility, and we could sneak him through, and we know more than the other guy. I just don't think that happens anymore. I think everybody knows who everybody is, and you've got to dive deep into the draft. And I think there's such a low hit rate at the top of the first round in this draft that people know that there's value to be had later. And then I think there's the special teams piece, right? Because, we want to look at guys and we want to look at their U Sports position or their NCAA position and see where they're going to go. But really, you've got to properly evaluate them to see if eventually, they might just be a D line that can give you 10 snaps a game, but they're going to play on all four of your specials, right? And where that person fits in. So I just think there's more of a science to it now. Back in the day, it was checkers. Now it's chess, right?
Analytics, I'm sure there's guys in the room and at the tables and all that are, because analytics is a thing in sports, like it or don't.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. I mean, you're always trying to mine value and find it in ways that not everybody's going to look for it. Right. And, and it's also going to depend on the level, right? Because that data is not as available, for some U Sports players as it might be for some Division I players. Right. So, there's not a PFF grade for every U Sports player. And not that that's the end all be all, but you know what I'm trying to say. So I think that they do go through that exercise, but it's, there's context around it for sure.
I'm going to shift to hockey, because we didn't get to talk about this last week, and the Canucks and Patrick Alvin and out at GM. What do you expect the Canucks to do there?
Yeah, I think the big question is, are they going to wind up hiring two positions, right? Are they going to wind up hiring a president and a general manager right away? Are they going to hire a GM thinking that once Jim Rutherford moves it along, that they won't replace that spot and save some money? It's kind of hard to predict, because, when you go through these lists, there's not a lot of currently accomplished people that are qualified presidents. And now sometimes you'll take a player that has got a figurehead, not a figurehead, but just a consultant type role, a senior advisor type role. Like one of the names that's being bandied about in Vancouver is Shane Doan. Okay. Now, does Shane Doan have the personnel chops to walk in and be a GM, or is that just kind of the next thing on his resume that he's got to get to, and you give him a spot? So like, but some might just look at him and say, you know, he checks a lot of different boxes. Maybe he makes more sense as a president, and you bring in a GM underneath him, right? A guy like Brad Tree-Living. So, okay, Brad's been a GM in his last couple of stops in Toronto and in Calgary, but hasn't necessarily had a lot of success. So do you want to bring him in and say, okay, well, your experience, we're going to make you the president? So I think there's some questions here. You know, they've gone through their long list. They've done a bunch of virtual interviews. They're going to continue that through the weekend. They've cast a wide net. And by the early stages of next week, I think they're going to shortlist it to someplace between 3 and 5 and bring those guys in for in-person interviews, right? So, you know, what are they looking for? Jim Rutherford has said we want somebody that can navigate a rebuild, and I just don't know that there's a ton of guys out there that just check all those boxes that maybe have been a GM and have done all of that successfully.
Yeah, tough to find. On the player side and just the exit meetings, did anything jump out there? I think I heard Evander Kane wasn't even around or something like that.
Yeah, and apparently Evander came in a couple of days earlier before their last road trip and did his exit meetings because I guess he didn't want to be there the day of. So disappointing, but not a big deal because he was never coming back here next year anyway. So, yeah, I mean, you know, the interesting part to me was that Adam Foote conducted the exit meetings. And we have no idea who the coach is going to be next year, right? Because if you were asking me to bet, I would probably say the Canucks have a different head coach next year. So, but I think that, you know, when you look at some of these opportunities around the league, the cupboards aren't bare in Vancouver, right? Like there's certainly questions at the top end. What's Elias Pettersson going to turn into? Do you need to trade him, or, you know, is he the best option that you've got, or, you know, can Thatcher Demko be healthy? Like there are those questions, but they do have a couple of people in the pipeline, right, that fans might get excited about. Braden Coots, who was a high draft pick a year ago. They could have the number 1 overall pick this year. If not, at worst, it's going to be number 3 this year. So, you know, when you compare that job to, let's say, a situation like Toronto, right, where like their core is getting old and they're not, I don't know that they've got an appetite for a rebuild and things of that nature. So, you know, I'm not sure what the better spot actually is to walk into at this stage.
Coach and the PA Raiders start tonight against Medicine Hat in the Eastern Conference Final. Yeah. Actually, that's it's going to be a really good watch. On the Canucks, like I guess the draft, right, and so much is going to be done there. But the cupboard, like, do they have a lot of? Do you don't foresee them making any moves? Then they're going to build through the draft. This is a rebuild. This is going to take a little bit of time.
Well, look, I don't think they're going to go out and acquire some big name free agent because there aren't any in this year's free agency pool. They're not going to go out and make a trade for a player of that ilk because A, that player probably doesn't want to come to Vancouver, and B, I just don't want to think they want to shortcut the rebuild yet. So do I think they'll go out and get a veteran 30-something defenseman that can help insulate some of their young guys? Yeah, I think that's going to happen. You know, is there another veteran forward along the same lines? Potentially, but you also don't want to create blockages within your own pipeline of players to get an opportunity, right? One of the things Rutherford said at the end of the season was there could be as many as 3 new guys in the lineup next year that are rookies or virtual rookies, right? With Jonathan Lekramaki, Coots, like we mentioned, and then whatever the draft pick is this year. And if those guys get in, you don't want to have guys that are 31 blocking them, right?
Yeah.
That you've just decided to acquire. So I don't think they're going to make any blockbuster moves along those lines. You know, a blockbuster move in the form of trading an Elias Pettersson, potentially, sure, but I don't expect them to try to bring value back. They might have to take some bad money back, but I think the goal of that would be to free up cap space and to potentially bring in young assets.
Okay, last thing for you today. Are you surprised with the success and what Rick Tockett's done in Philly?
Nope. Not at all. You know, and Travis Green, I know you can say what you want about them being 0-3 in this series, but I think they've been game in all 3 games and have been right there. You know, these are 2 good coaches. They have, you know, like in the case of Rick especially, he's been able to get buy-in from a really, really ordinary lineup, right? Like there's not a lot of high end there. And when you look at Travis Green, you know, I talked to him earlier and he said he's never had this much fun coaching because the group was completely bought in. Certainly they had their goaltending issues for the first 60 60 games, right? And then it got better. And that's certainly not their problem in the playoffs right now. But just, Brady Tkachuk and all of these guys, he's got them to buy in and play the game a certain way. So the fact that those two former Canuck coaches have had success doesn't shock me at all. I think, when Travis Green was with Vancouver, it was a group that wasn't mature enough for hard coaching. And, maybe they were mature enough with Travis or with Rick Tocchet, but so much other drama there that he decided to move it along. But two smart hockey coaches.
For sure. All right. Well, you have a good weekend. I'm really looking forward to catching up next week after the CFL draft and get your take on all that stuff.
Sounds good, buddy. We'll talk soon.
There he is. Our football insider from TSN, Farhan Lalji, joining us for the Cooperators here on Friday. The guy knows his stuff. There's a couple NFL picks. Not like I said, I'm not super deep in the weeds on a lot of them, but Rams fans. Interesting pick on the old quarterback and what you have going on there. Farhan's always brought to you by the Cooperators. Like I said, find a plan that works for you. Cooperators, invest in your future together. We'll go to break. We'll come back. A lot of text messages here to get through on the possible sale of the Brandt Center to the owners of Brandt. SportsCage. We'll be right back. Okay. Actually, we'll do this too right now. Before we get into it, backyard putting green, we're giving it away. We're giving away a backyard putting green. If you have been following along, thanks to the Classic Landscape Company. They do more than putting greens, obviously. Landscaping, the house, the acreage, the lake. They travel, but for this instance, they do really, really nice work when it comes to custom putting greens. You get it installed in your backyard. Giving it away Friday, May 1st. But there's one word that you got to text in to 936-6262. I tried explaining this. So when they're spelt wrong, it shows up here on our screens. When it's spelt correctly, it goes to a different system, and then you're prompted to just enter your info, and then you're in. You're into the mixer to win the putting green. Today's keyword, easier than yesterday with mulligan. Mulligan through people. Mulligan is a tougher word to spell if you don't spell it all the time. Today's is eagle. And we all got that. There's an E, an A, a G, an L, and an E. Eagle is today's keyword. 936-6262. Thanks to the Classic Landscape Company. Okay, back to the Prairie Land Rentals text line. And the news today that the council's gonna have a shot to vote at the Daren Anderson's coming in hour 2. And
He'll make better sense of it than you are.
I'm like, okay, what if council says no? Which they won't, because this just makes sense. But there's been common sense things that haven't been that common in and around Regina the last week or so. Brandt will take over. So that's maybe the map again, Colson, for people that are watching on YouTube and people that are listening on the radio and streams. It's going to be the Brandt Center, the Ag Building, the parking lot west of Mosaic, the Stockman's Building. Love the name of that. Sounds like a good tavern. The McDonald's, hey-o, Egg McMuffin. Maybe they can figure out if we can still get the orange pop, the McDonald's orange drink. The Queensberry Center, which is a little bit murky. Daren's gonna have to fill us in on that. The Commercial Cattle Barn, which you says is kind of in the back there somewhere.
It's behind the Havana Center.
Okay. Obviously, I've never been in there. Probably walks through it. Canadian Center Building, is that where they play pickleball?
I think so. Yeah, the Havana Center.
Where that limousine's there that hasn't moved in about 10 years. Okay.
I can guarantee you it moves. I can tell you that story later.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
You've seen it move?
I've been in it.
How long ago?
Little over 2 years.
Okay. And the Ag X Building, which is where they're building the distillery.
Yeah.
Or the concert hall or whatever. They're doing a lot of digging. They're on the underneath of that operation. You can see what's it called? Piles?
Pylons. pilings, something like that. Can tell we're the experts here.
Definitely a big construction guy. Dean on the text line. Dean's one of the smarter guys. Text in. Corporate ownership and sponsorship is a way to get new facilities and manage them efficiently. Governments don't need to be in the recreational and entertainment business. Dean and Regina. I think that is where we are in the new world we live in. It used to be done another way. Again, we used to ride in the back of pickups, and that was okay. Cops would just maybe not even give you a warning. But yeah, is this the new way to go about it? I did say now maybe that they can, and a lot of people, there's a couple of no names here. Are they going to control the concessions? Well, if you own the Brandt Center, you're controlling the concessions.
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe this is the question that DA can answer when he comes in. Is that union? Are they tied to the union?
The concession?
Yeah, because there's people that are, well, that's the problem. There's that to hire so many people, and then it cuts down on the profit margin, and you can't do this and you can't do that. Like if Brandt takes over the concessions, spruces them up, maybe adds a nice beef dip here and there, some pierogies.
I don't think the concession prices are going to be tied to the union. Obviously, you're going to budget it all out and figure out where your margins are, right? But from what I'm understanding, all of the employees are going to go from Real to Brandt, right? So if they're picking up the union contracts, they're going to have to figure out how to balance that. Still, I would expect it would be cheaper than it currently is. How much, I can't tell you.
Brendan on the text line says, thank whoever you believe in. Basically saying thanks, we built Mosaic Stadium when we did. Imagine the price now. Yeah.
Like what, construction stuff is like quadrupled in the last decade?
I don't know if it's getting done. We're still at Taylor Field. Wouldn't that be fun to go back? The place had memories.
Oh yeah.
But that's like a lot of people saying, put a roof on it. And I remember hearing when they were just starting to dig, and someone that was very smart, I'm not going to throw the name out, who was tied to it, they went and traveled to other facilities. They're like, if we put a roof on it, the city will go broke. Heating it and cooling it.
We didn't put a roof on it, and the city's almost gone broke.
Yes. Yeah.
I don't think 2 more big concerts over the winter would make the difference. And I'm just saying, I'm just throwing out numbers, right? I don't think 2 concerts in the winter, because it's a domed building, would make the difference financially for this city.
And what concerts are coming?
Exactly.
We need Greg on. What concerts are coming in to even remotely fill that place?
Exactly.
There's only so many. You have a festival of some sort. Sean in McLean. Like Semple will lower prices at the concessions. Have you seen what he's done to the price to watch a Pats game? Sean in McLean. I think maybe he will. Maybe he'll surprise us.
Yeah. And we don't know how many quote unquote hidden fees are behind, right?
Yeah, we do.
Well, approximately. I'm just saying, if it's let's say, okay, the price is $40, $5 is going straight to the city, $5 is going straight to this, whatever, right? If he, by buying it and owning it now, can cut some of that out.
Yeah, and he doesn't, he thanks a billion. That was the slogan. Doesn't need the money. This probably isn't a moneymaker for him. Yeah, just get people in.
Yeah.
Make it entertaining. Cover the costs, obviously. Make a little bit. Now you got the concessions.
Yeah. And it's important to remember too, with specifically the Pats and the Red Sox, they're collegiate and minor teams, right? You're going to have a good couple of years, and then you're going to have a rough couple of years as you rebuild. It's not like a pro team where you can try and build a dynasty.
Well, I think the Red Sox are more better. You can be somewhat, you could almost be better every year.
Yeah.
Like the Pats, you kind of got to build through a draft.
Exactly.
And that's tough. I imagine a world with warm popcorn at the Brandt Center. I just thought of that. It smells so good, and then I get sucked in, and I'm like, this is cold, and this fake butter, and I got sucked in again. Now I needed 8 liters of water.
Start having nice things again. That's what you're saying.
Warm popcorn. I'm here for the warm popcorn.
Oh boy.
We got more text messages here. A lot of the regulars. I figured a lot of the regulars coming in. Dan, my guess, once they go to 18 games, Toronto gets a yearly game at BMO Field with extra seats. He wants to have the NFL draft in Toronto too. That's a question. No. I can't. Well,
I understand.
Imagine the uproar.
I understand the Bills have a partnership with them, but if the Bills get the draft, they're keeping it in Buffalo.
Oh, yeah. I can imagine the uproar. Taking the draft to Canada. Yeah. Keep the text messages coming, 936-6262. It's a Sports Cage on this Friday for Nelson Homes. Home packages and RTMs for over 65 years. Regina Pat Canadians won their final round robin game at the National Championship 5-4 over Okanagan. They will finish first. Looks like they're going to take on Halifax tomorrow in the semifinals. I'll keep you updated here. Halifax is on the ice right now. Oh, it's now final. Halifax loses to Levy Cavaliers. So, yeah, it'll be the Pats and those pesky Halifax Max tomorrow. We'll keep you updated on time when it comes out on the schedule. Medicine Hat Tigers, Prince Albert Raiders, Game 1 of the Eastern Conference WHL Final tonight up in Paradise, 7 p.m. puck drop. John Keane's going to join us in hour 3, talk some WHL. Central Canada Cup Junior B Championship going on in Saskatoon. Regina Capital, Saskatoon Royals tonight at 8 p.m. All the details at sportscage.com. In the National League tonight, the playoffs continue. Edmonton Oilers at Anaheim, tied 1-1, 8 p.m. puck drop. Tampa Bay, Montreal, 5 o'clock, tied 1-1. And the other one, Vegas, Utah, tied 1-1, 7:30 our time. Blue Jays play baseball against Cleveland today at home. 5:07 is the first pitch. And the Saskatchewan Roughriders signed American offensive lineman Justin Osborne today. 2025 NFL draft to the Cleveland Browns. He's coming up. SportsCage.com poll. Do you think Michaela Kleisinger will be the head coach of the University of Regina Cougar women's basketball team? You can vote if you believe Michaela will be there at sportscage.com. It's for Reliance Heath in hour 1. Water heater and softener together, starting at $1.20 a day. Get $400 cash back when you switch to Reliance. Almost in the books. Hour 1. Hour 2 coming up. We will have Brent Krahn joining us as our NHL insider with Eric Francis in Ireland. Although Eric did say, because it's 7 hours, and he went to a soccer game today, he did say he might call in. Might need a video link. I want to see what Eric's up to on the mean streets of Ireland. Where is he? In Dublin, I wonder? So he might call in. Also in hour 2, we're going to be joined by CFO from the city, Daren Anderson, here in studio. Talk about this whole transfer and possible sale of campus properties to Brandt. All these buildings are old. That's the other thing. When I was listening to the clips from the presser, it's like, whoa, sure. You want to buy this? Let's roll. Very curious. We'll throw in a McDonald's. It's a Sports Cage, streaming through our YouTube channel at sportscage.com. Welcome back to the Sports Cage on this Friday for Nelson Homes. As usual, home packages and RTMs for over 65 years. All of our guests are joining us on the Western Pizza guest hotline. That weather out there, you ain't barbecuing. You're not out in the old Blackstone tonight. It's cold. Pick up a pie from Western Pizza, maybe a souvlaki, ribs, salad. All the Greek favorites you like. It's funny, the other day we had Rhett Warner on, and he was like, Western Pizza, the Western Pizza in Calgary is like 2 blocks from here. Oh, now I'm craving Western Pizza. Prairieland Rentals text line is a buzzsaw today, 306-936-6262. A lot of you chiming in on the news that the Brandt group could be purchasing, probably will purchase, a number of city-owned properties on the Real campus, including the 49-year-old, is that how old it is? Brandt Center. It was built in 1977, wasn't it?
You're asking the wrong guy.
Thing was awesome when it was built. I remember coming in early 80s, and Saskatoon had built in 1977. So 48, 49. That same age I was built. Same year I was born. And we came down here and watched the game because we were here for a hockey tournament. And we had the old arena in Saskatoon. Sass Place was still a couple of years away. We were like, oh, look at this. Look at this building in Regina. All the orange seats. It's orange seats. It's been around for a while. And I don't know, spruce it up. Make it, I'm sure, hey, I'm no architect. Sure, there's things they can do. Sharky's always said you build a donut on the outside, make the concourse a little bigger. I think it would, I think there's some possibilities there. The old Brandt Center. Keep the text messages coming on that. NHL, what are we doing here? I feel Colson's talking to people. NHL Insider. Usually it's Eric Francis, but he's in Ireland, so Brent Krahn's filling in again, and I think he's standing by. Let's hit the intro and then let me know who we have.
Now for Inside the NHL with Eric Francis on the SportsCage. Inside the NHL is brought to you by Sports Select. Getting in on more of the sports action you want is as easy as playing at sportselect.com. Simply make your picks online, generate your QR code, and lock in your bet at your local Lotto Spot retailer.
Jeez Louise, look at this operation we got going on, Krahn.
Oh, is he at darts right now, or where are you at? Nice hoodie, Francis. What are you doing?
Say what?
Yeah. Oh.
You couldn't go somewhere a little more quiet? You're in the what Irish city are you in? Walking. Oh, look at that bar. That looks exactly what you would think. Ireland. Are you in Dublin?
That's the Temple Bar, probably the most famous bar in this country, right in the Temple Bar district in Dublin.
How was the soccer game?
But I didn't call it. I didn't call to talk about that. I called to find out what's going on in the playoffs.
Well, you're lucky you tuned in, Francis. I'm sure there's nothing on TV at the Temple Bar there. They're not paying attention to the first round, or what?
I was at an Irish Premiership soccer game today, and
how was it?
I can tell you that St. Patrick's beat the Bohemians 3-1. It's a big crosstown rivalry, so I thought I'd update you on that one.
7-game series or just a 1-game elimination?
Oh no, we're getting to the short straws of the regular season here, and you know, the St. Pat's moved into first place, so I know our Irish listeners will want to know that.
Yeah.
How many dives or legit penalties in the game?
Well, one guy went down and we were sure he was dead. And, you know, when you see it live, you realize they're faking even more than TV suggests. And, but he went off. And we're pretty sure he died, but I'll have to find out. I'll report back next week whether the soccer player died, because a guy tackled him right with their legs got caught up. It looked savage.
Oh.
Did they use the rejuvenating spray on their leg to bring them back to life? They spray them with mist.
The magic aerosol. Yeah, the magic aerosol. They tried that. It didn't work. And it was just a lifeless body, so they carted him off. It was just tragic to see.
Cart, or did they bring out the old stretcher, like the ones that we see, and then they carry him off like an old senior hockey game?
No, he walked off. He didn't even limp. He didn't even fake it with a limp. He just walked off, and everybody cheered like he was this Irish hero.
Tough.
And then he disappeared down a hallway, and we all said a prayer, and the game went on.
It's like Mike Modano getting carted off by the ambulance in the late 90s, where he just fell off the gurney, right? It's like, hey, he'll be fine. Don't worry about it. We got him covered. Not a big deal.
One of the funniest things in NHL history. How much was a beer at that soccer game? Because I'm sure, or did you hold out for the rum and coke?
You want to talk about sporting tragedies? No beer at the game. No alcohol. Like, that's why we left at the half. I only know the final score because I Googled it. But because I'm here with 20 guys, and I convinced them all to go to this game because I thought it'd be fun to see a live soccer game, or football, sorry. And then no booze there because they'll all murder each other, I guess. And then at the half, we're all looking at each other going, we didn't come to Ireland to watch football. We came to drink, so let's get out of here.
Well, and you left after the first period, I would imagine, like you normally do, hey?
I taught you well, Krahn, how to cover a game. Leave after the first and read about it online.
Yeah, exactly. Somebody's going to write a story.
All right. Well, you go have fun. It doesn't look fun at all. Krahn and I are going to continue talking hockey here.
Yeah, text me the scores if you could later. There's no internet connection here in Ireland. I don't know what's going on.
Dial up. Gotta get your modem right.
Thanks
Good to talk to you, boys. I just thought I'd check in and give you the update on the soccer. I'll find out how bad the injury is, and I'll get back to you on that too.
Eric Francis from Ireland. Brent Krahn is here again. He was with us on Wednesday. He's got it figured out, doesn't he?
That man is dumb like a fox. I had to fill in for him once because he said the weather was bad. He couldn't fly back, but I do believe he was stuck in Florida during the hockey season. And I got an emergency text. Can you do the panel tonight? And I'm like, yeah, it better be a big emergency. He's like, yeah, Francis is stuck in Florida. I'm like, oh, must be tough, right? We've got somebody here that's going to get it taken care of, right? And then default number 2 is me. We're all good, right?
Speaking of that, it was late this year that I was watching Sportsnet, and you got bumped in to do, was it color for a Flames game? And was that at last minute? Was that an e-bug situation?
No, I have ruined many e-bug status for the National Hockey League where they've had to put in protocol to make sure guys are fit for duty. This one was planned months in advance.
Oh.
And I wheeled in there, and they prepared me. They gave me the lingo, all what you're supposed to understand, and when I say this is what that means. And obviously Johnny Abbott's awesome, one of the best in the business, and it took me about a period and a half to kind of understand everything that was going on. And the hardest part for me is like I'm a very black and white guy. I do believe I said that Wednesday when we were on here again, when I was taking over for Francis, is upgrading the show here for 20 minutes. But when I see something, there's not a whole lot of commentary. It's like, yeah, that's not a goal. Like Connor Zary kicked the puck in the net. And that was like, well, we need more explanation. I'm like, well, he kicked it in. There's no more explanation. He took his right leg and he booted the puck in the net. Well, we're going to go to the Hockey Central and we're going to break down the goal. No, this should be called back because he deliberately kicked the puck in the net. And so there's a zone of silence for about 30 seconds where John Abbott's looking at me like, do you have anything more to add to this? I'm like, no. He kicked the puck into the net. That's like, I don't know how much more I could add to this. He took his right leg and he booted it into the net.
You did great. You did great.
Well, it took me a little while to get going, though. There's a lot going on. I didn't want to be disrespectful. I can talk with the best of them, but I didn't want to be disrespectful. I didn't want to overtalk John Abbott. I did not want to talk for the sake of talking. So I was trying to find my rhythm, my cadence. But they did call it a goal, which is mind blowing. Like these NHL replay guys that call that kind of stuff a goal, like that. Like I don't know what the qualifications are to get that job. I really don't. But I would like to. No, it's like being a weatherman, right? It's like, is it snowing today, and where you're from, and maybe it doesn't, maybe it does a little bit, and maybe
yeah,
but in all seriousness, I was very fortunate. I got an opportunity to call a hockey game, which I never thought I would ever, and I got an opportunity to go up there with Johnny Abbott, call the game against the Utah Mammoth, and There was an instance there too where I made a bunch of notes. I was so prepared, like we all do when we go into a situation. We have no idea what the job scope is. We have an idea, but I'm going to be so prepared. I'm ready for this. And I was looking down at my notes, and there was a penalty, and we were going into the break, and I hear the producer in my ear saying, "Krahn, we're going to break down the penalty." I'm like, I didn't see the penalty. I didn't see what was happened here. And then they go to the break and they do the old like dun, 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 like the whole Sportsnet theme, and they got Sharon Govich tripping again. It's the first time I've ever seen it. It's like, well, you got Sharon Govich here. He's obviously late in the play. He's skating really fast back, and then he tripped the guy. Like that's my analysis. It's like, thanks for coming on Sportsnet tonight. You've done a great job, right? And then you got characters like Francis that really just love that kind of stuff, where it's like, I know exactly what happened there. He wasn't paying attention. His head was firmly planted, where, and we're gonna listen to this monkey just break this down, right? Like
I love it. You
gotta have a little humility. You gotta have a sense of humor, and I took in the chops by a lot of good people.
That's why they should have you regular next year, because it needs a change.
Wow.
It's more like you think about it though. It's I said this the other day. It's like how you're attracting different fans. It's like how they write commercials for TV. My sister actually sent to my sister, and it's like they write commercials differently now for TV and radio at like the high level to that is for the brain of a 18, 19, 20, because how they consume is way different than you and I. Just like how you and I consume is way different than our parents. And I was like, well, and I feel a lot of times with sports, that's where like the Biz and the TNT and some of that stuff they do in Colby and all that, it's different. It's like, oh, what a breath of fresh air instead of being so, vanilla and
robotic
robotic.
Yeah.
Perfect. Yeah. So I think they should. I think we need more Krahn in there. Let's talk about these series here. If the Oilers lose tonight in Anaheim, Edmonton Oiler fans losing their minds?
They lose their minds every minute of every day, right? It doesn't matter, right? Like the good thing about Oilers fans is they're so passionate. They are all in on their team, whether they're bad or they're good. They're all in. And McDavid hasn't had a good first two games, but they got the split, and people are always like, "Oh, it's Connor McDavid, relax." So they're going to full on panic. We know they will. Not a problem. They're just going to completely melt down, and we're going to trade the whole team and fire everybody, and we're going to start over again. But it's the Oilers, right? They have arguably Connor McDavid's the best player in the National Hockey. Leon Draisaitl is my favorite player in the National Hockey, being in the Calgary Flames organization. But watching a guy like Draisaitl play the game he's mean, he's strong, he's tough. He drives every single night. He's consistent. You know exactly what you're going to get from him. He missed a month, and he comes back, and that rest was well earned, and you can see how much energy he has. Whether he's playing at 100%, we don't know, but he's sure giving 100%. Oilers can't defend. They can't. And the good thing about having Connor Ingram in net is the fact that he doesn't give up bad goals. Yes, he gave up 5 in the Oilers lost the Ducks here 6-4, but you can't fault him on any of them. He's made some key saves at key times. He's got that he went through a few mental battles where he had to take some time away from the game. He's come back, and he's an easy guy to cheer for. We're all cheering for him. Honestly, I am too. You want him to succeed. Anaheim, they don't play defense either. Dostal can be a game breaker, but he's not going to game break for 4 wins for Anaheim. If this game goes if this series goes the distance, I'm not really too concerned about it. This is the Oilers series to lose. How long can you keep McDavid down? Even if he is partially injured, even if he's tentative, sore, this Oilers team can still win. And I'm not a diehard Oilers fan. I'm not sure if you know that, but I am not overly concerned at all whatsoever.
Well, I took Anaheim the other night. Right after we talked to you, I took them -1.5. And everyone's like, "You're an idiot." I'm like, "Oh, I just like Anaheim giving them all they can handle in this series." And where it ends, you're not going to be able to keep McDavid. But then, people are like, he looked like he got a little injured in that game too. And Anaheim, with Gudas on the ice, all bets are off there. What about, you said you saw them live, Utah. They even things up with Vegas. And Vejmelka in net. I liked him when he was with Arizona. Watched him a lot there. This Utah team, Krahn, is just the epitome of we just don't watch them enough. Like, no one tuned into a lot of Utah games this year. I was a big Coyote fan, so I know kind of some of these young guys and where they were going. But they're going to give Vegas, and it's first playoff game ever in Utah tonight. Wouldn't that be fun to be at?
Oh, it would be amazing. And what I'm about to say, I mean zero disrespect to Utah whatsoever, but they're too young and stupid to realize where they are. You know what I mean? They're just, and you need that. You need the young guys to come in. It's like, hey, this is amazing. We're playing the National Hockey League playoffs. Oh, this is fantastic. Oh, this is great. I love that. Like, no understanding of the repercussions. You have a lot of young players that are trying to make names for themselves. They're dynamic. They're offensive. Vejmelka, he's a clunky goalie. And nothing he ever does makes sense, and it doesn't look natural. It doesn't look smooth, but they got the split in Vegas, which is what they needed. And I would imagine that it would be a split back in Utah. And I can see this series going 7 games. Mitch Marner hasn't really shown up. We'll see what he's got to offer. There's a ton of flames in this series, too. You got Noah Hannafin, you got Rasmus Andersson on the Vegas side, then you got Mackenzie Weegar on the Utah side, right? And I think there was, in game 2, I think Mackenzie Weegar connected with Hannafin and Anderson on his goal.
Yeah.
And in the end, it's important for Utah to get that split, to get that belief. And I think them going back to Utah, I don't think this team is going to be too overwhelmed with the reception they're going to receive tonight playing against Vegas. I think they're just going to relish it. They're going to own it. They're going to have some fun. They're going to go out there and rip the puck around. But I do believe that they're going to come out of these 2 games in Utah split, and it could go the distance. But it's a fun series. It's been mean. That Barbashev, I love watching him play too. He loves finishing his. Ian Cole's been taking it in the teeth here from Barbashev. For the first 2 games, just getting run over. Every time he touches the puck, he gets pasted against the boards. It's the way it should be. It's a war of attrition. It's who's going to be able to fight through it. And I do believe that Utah is in a place where I just think that they have enough energy, they have enough exuberance, and they have enough stupidity. And I don't mean that in a negative way, but they just don't know where they are, and they're just going to go out there and have some fun.
Like the guy that sits down at the poker table that's never played before, and what are you doing? What? But what's your take on Lightning Montreal shifting to Montreal? Speaking of places a guy would want to be tonight.
I think that Montreal is going to be overwhelmed in the game tonight because Montreal is one of the best, if not the best, places to watch a hockey game in the playoffs. That's a culture there. I mean, that Bell Center is going to be rocking tonight. I worry about Dovish. He's the goaltender. He's an emotional player. I thought he played very well games 1 and 2 in Tampa. You're going to go into Montreal. I hope he can use it as motivation, but I do think he might be rocky out right off the start. I didn't like Slafkovsky fighting haggle. I thought that was useless. I thought that was immature. It's hard when people are in your face and they want to call you out, and the way the social media works and everybody's on camera, if he turns away, they're all going to say, oh, he's soft. Oh, he's not a tough guy.
Yeah.
Which Slafkovsky's not a tough guy. What does he have to fight haggle for? Tampa Bay is going to try to bring you down into the mud and wrestle you. And Montreal is faster and more skilled, and you don't have to get into that Tampa Bay game. They got the split in Tampa. That's great. You'd like to see Montreal win 2 at home. This start tonight from Montreal is going to be huge. And conversely, for Tampa Bay, they got to get after them early because they're a young team. They're not an overly experienced playoff team, even though guys have been around. That whole COVID year with Suzuki playing, it's like, I don't really view that as real playoffs, even though it was fun for us to watch something at home where
in August,
the world lied to us. But at the end of the day, it's like at the end of the day, it's now you're in something real. Now you're coming into Montreal, and the place, the Bell Center's jammed. And Montreal, like I said, it's got some of the best fans in the world. And for a young goaltender like Dobish at the start of the season too, he was great early on. Then he had some hiccups, and he was very emotional in the media. And you can just see the ebbs and flows of a young goaltender. And I really hope he does well. But Tampa Bay might be able to take this game if they can get to Dobish early tonight. But I do believe Montreal is going to take the series in 6.
You know who the most boring team to watch is in the playoffs?
Carolina.
Yeah, Freddie Anderson though. Can he take him as a goalie and a guy that you know him? Can he take him to? No, I'm deep in a couple of drafts with Carolina guys.
I know. Well, you're wise to pick Freddie Anderson because he will get you to a point where the moment becomes too big for him and he will fold. Right? Like I Leafs fans. I know a handful of Leafs fans in Saskatchewan. There's few and far between. My old man in southern Manitoba was a diehard Leafs fan.
Say that again.
You pity them for a long time until they get success and they turn into monsters, and that's just how it works. It's with a guy like Freddie Anderson, he'll find a way to get out of a big moment, in my opinion, and that's not correct. We've seen him do it a handful of times in Toronto. Toronto's a pressure cooker. You get up 3-2. You're about to win a series. He lays an egg in Game 6 and then falls apart in Game 7. And I can just see the moment, and I hate to say this because I'm a member of the goalie union and I've failed in big moments and I've succeeded in few. So I can't sit there and say, Bob, but having said that, the moment's not big enough right now for Freddie to fail. And I think once you get out of the second round, when you get to the conference finals, now there's something on the line, and I can see him not intentionally, but either getting knocked out by injury or by poor play. And
wow,
I don't trust them. I don't trust them. They're going to get through Ottawa. They are. I think we blamed Linus Ullmark all season long for Ottawa's struggles, and rightfully so. The guy is a marshmallow. He really is. But you have a leader in Brady Tkachuk, who I also feel too is. He's not he needs a more veteran guy leading him to help lead the team. I think if you put all your faith in Brady Tkachuk, I don't think he's going to get you there. I think he's a hype guy. I think he's an exciting player to watch. I have a lot of time for him, but I think he needs a bit more veteran leadership. And he's had chances with the game on his stick. Stützle's had chances with right. This could be very easily a 2-1 series or 3-0 the other way for Ottawa too. It really could. I thought Linus would fall on his face, and he's played great. But Ottawa, once again, has not come to the table and been a big game team. And so for this, I can't see Ottawa coming out of this whatsoever. And I think Freddie's going to struggle here down the road.
We got about a minute left, but I wanted to quickly, where do you think Brady Tkachuk's playing next year?
I don't think it'll be in Ottawa. I really don't. I think he saw his brother's success leaving Canadian City in Calgary.
Yeah.
The thing with Matthew is he's also one of those guys that pulls into the fight, but he needs veteran leadership. When he got to Florida, he became better, but he wasn't the guy. He was just a rat that ran around, and that's an important piece. I think Brady's the very same player. He needs to go to a city where somebody can take him under his wing and point him in the right direction, and he's an asset, but they're not the driver.
And then when we talked to you on Wednesday, we were in Yorkton. Flin Flon sweeps Yorkton, SJHL final 4-0. And then the Niverville Nighthawks?
Niverville.
Okay. Never heard of them, but they beat Verdun to win the MJ.
Yeah, 4 straight too, right? So, I mean, that's obviously a big deal. I was a young man growing up in Winkler, Manitoba, watched the Winkler Flyers win a handful of, I don't even know if it was called the Turnbull Cup at the time. They didn't have funny names like that back in the day, but at the end of the day, I could be wrong. 4 rip, they win it in Verdun. Niverville is just outside of Winnipeg. It's a newer MJ team. I only played against the old dogs, but they're look how happy they are here. Hey, 4 rip, they made it easy on themselves. They took it to task, and congratulations to the Nighthawks.
How about Manitoba? They got the Manitoba title and the Saskatchewan title.
Isn't that scary? Look out.
Premier, what's the Premier's name there now? Rob Canoe.
Canoe.
Yeah, he's rocking. All right, Krahn, thanks so much again for doing this, and very curious to see what happens tonight in Montreal. After you said that, I might have placed a wager here already on Montreal heavy money line, so now I'm second guessing myself. But thanks for doing this again.
Appreciate the time, boys. Thank you.
Right on. You can hear them on the Fan 960 in Calgary, Sportsnet we talked about. Brent Krahn joining us here for Eric Francis. Eric Francis kind of came on there early. It's for Sports Select. Must be 18 plus to play. Play responsibly. You can now make your picks online by generating a QR code. Every bet is 100% legal. SportsSelect.com. We'll go to break. We'll come back. We're going to be joined by CFO from the city of Regina, Daren Anderson, live in studio. It's the Sports Cage, streaming through our YouTube channel at SportsCage.com. Prairieland Rentals text line on this Friday has been busy, and a lot of you are weighing in on the news today that the city of Regina, this is a sports show, and we talk other things with sports shows, so but basically looking to sell a number of buildings at the Real campus to Brandt, including the Brandt Center. Joining us, CFO from the city of Regina, Daren Anderson. You had the presser today. What a day. You guys have obviously been sitting on this for a while. It sounds like the discussion started about 5 months ago from what I understand. This probably taking a lot of people by storm or coming from left field. Why does this make sense for the city on a sports show to the casual, fan? Why does this make sense?
Yeah, I think for a number of reasons. So number one, it's a very difficult business for the city to be in. There's a lot of risk in event planning and in these commercial type activities. And number two, there is a large deferred maintenance, which essentially is a lot of work that needs to go into those buildings. So the average age of the buildings that are being proposed to be sold is over 45 years old. Mm-hmm. We haven't been putting a ton of work into them. We haven't been saving money to put a ton of work in them. And so it's a large liability that the city taxpayers are staring at. And so when we got the unsolicited offer from Brandt back in November, it was in the taxpayers' best interest for us to kick the tires on it for sure, and my fiduciary duty to make sure we could see if we could make a deal happen that would be good for the taxpayers. And I think we landed there. We're recommending council move ahead with this, and we think it'll help refocus, like from some non-sports thing, refocus taxpayer money into our core services.
I want to say that I kind of get this vibe or this play, if I can use that word, from other cities as well, where it's like the private sector, somebody else needs to be, if it's not totally them and they're involved and this is their lane, let them do this. We'll run the city over here. It seems like that's become way more commonplace in a lot of smaller cities, maybe even bigger cities, where, in the 70s, it was like, okay, the city owns this and the city runs it. Things have changed a lot.
Yes, 100% on that. Every city in Canada is different in how they handle, so the arena specifically. You have OEG, I think it is, in Edmonton, True North in Winnipeg, the Calgary Sports and Entertainment, I think it's what owns And all those deals are unique, and typically there's still taxpayer money that goes into those, but you have a lot of private money going in and private entities taking the risk on operating them. Here, we were solely government owned and run, and we needed to attract private investment, and we were lucky enough to have Brandt step up and say, I'm willing to participate. And given our situation, he's taking full accountability for that facility now, right? And so he's the one who's going to make the improvements that are required. And really, from a business standpoint, why this is all happening too is, if you think of the Brandt Center as a business, and your main tenant is the Pats, so you've got the cost of running the Pats, and then you've got the fans purchasing tickets and some burgers and stuff. Well, right now we have a lot of fingers in between the cost and the fan, right? You've got Real trying to take a piece, you've got Levy who's been contracted, and you've got the Pats all trying to cover their overhead, their profit margins, etc. And it just doesn't work. There's too many fingers in the pie. This cleans all that up, gives incentive for Brandt and through the ownership of the Pats to really make that thing an efficient business and run well.
And make it theirs, like a lot of rinks. And you go down to, in the Western Hockey League, the more west you go, it's almost like privately owned or and operated a lot of times. Can Brandt kind of take their ball and go home though at some point, or are they like totally in on this?
No, they're in. So we were concerned, right? We have to make sure that they're willing to put the investment in. So they're buying everything at market and top of market. So we used external professionals to evaluate the condition of the buildings and get assessments on the value of all of these buildings. And so we're very comfortable at the city that we're getting a good deal on the purchase, and we're avoiding all of this. Obviously the price comes down because they're in bad shape.
Right? Let's talk about that, because that's one thing that jumps out for someone that's kind of maybe a little elementary in a lot of this. It's like purchase price, the Brandt Center in brackets $10.3 million. That's just because it needs so much work. It's
right. So essentially, so right now we pay an external company that's Canada wide, and we use it for all our facilities, and they come up with what maintenance is required to get it up to good status. Think of it that way. And they said the Brandt Center needs $19 million of work.
Really?
So we did an assessment and said the value of a facility like that, and used an external consultant who's the best in Southern Saskatchewan, and he pegged it at around $5 million. So he said the value of this thing in good condition is about $5 million, right? It's a very limited building. You can't, it's not a warehouse space that you could do multiple things with. And so we negotiated a purchase price of minus $10 million, which for us then is a boon, because we're avoiding $19 million of costs, and he's putting it in. Now, the deal itself for total, because there's multiple buildings, so every building we did that with comes out to a $6.5 million purchase price, and we're very happy with that at market. So that's sort of the finance part of it. But more so, what we're excited about is, I don't think the city should be involved in these commercial activities. With city does 65 different services, fire, police. We're not selling a fire station.
Yeah.
Right.
And you guys aren't selling the rinks, like the Cooperator Center. You're keeping that. I think I forget what the other one, because it's important for the youth sports and different things like that.
So we were very clear that the Cooperators, the Soccer Center, and the ITC, we felt should remain with the city. And those are where your core community activities, your hockey, your figure skating, and obviously soccer, touch football, all that kind of stuff that goes on in the Soccer Center. We want to make sure that that's there and available for community activity. And so we didn't do that. The ITC, which is a great facility and is being used all the time now, and a lot for community good, a lot of volleyball tournaments in there now, taekwondo, all different types of activities. And the province and the feds, gratefully put a lot of money into that facility recently. And so we felt that we should retain ownership.
The one thing that somebody asked in the presser I think, as well. And there was a text message earlier. Is like, what does this do about a new arena? And I'm laughed out loud. I'm like, I don't think we're building a new arena anytime soon. Looks like Saskatoon as well. It's like the cost to build a new arena, and then you're back into that game.
Yeah, I would say there's nothing tangible right now around a new arena at the city.
Yeah.
We have it on a list because we have a facility that's aging out. Now we've sold that to the private sector, so it's up to him what he wants to do. But I would say, especially in the climate today, the federal government's really focused on housing and transit. So they're willing to give money. We've been lucky enough to get money, but they want to grow underground infrastructure, your wastewater treatment plants, like
yes,
the plumbing underneath the ground that nobody sees. That's sort of where they're headed, is that stuff needs to get addressed first. So, Saskatoon has a wonderful project they've had, the deed project, that I'd be ecstatic if they could get that off the ground, but it's been really hard for them to get any kind of significant money to put into it.
The one thing, and then we had people here too, when it comes to the Brandt Center and the Pats games, and you go to a Pats game, it's like, okay, now they're going to control the concessions. They're going to be able to do what they want. And that's where it makes sense to own a junior hockey team. It's a great play by Brandt. If this is a video game or this is a game of Monopoly, it's like very strong play, great play. But are there contracts like that they have to stay so many years with Levy and have their people or have that union there?
So all the employees are going to Brandt. So they were very good about this. They said, you know what, we're taking, there's 2 unions out there, so we're taking both union contracts, all the employees, when this deal is finalized, because there still needs to be approved by council, and we still need, this is just a non-binding term sheet. So
Yeah.
This is not a done deal at all. This is just the first step in a long line of contract negotiations. But they've been very supportive of that. And the nice thing is, like, Brandt doesn't do this, right?
Yeah.
So it's not like they have employees. So they're going to take all the employees in. They take the Levy contract. And so if they decide that they want to part ways, that's them. But the Levy contract gets assigned to Brandt.
Yeah.
And so it'll be up to them to sort of decide what makes business sense going forward.
And you're in the promotions business. You got to, are we booking events? Are we bringing in concerts? What are we bringing in? Are we in, you're hiring a promoter that's boots on the ground or that has the connections to bring concerts and all that there. I kind of know that game a bit. And it's not as easy. It's not as easy as people think. It's like, how come Saskatoon gets that concert? Or how come this? It's like the game that goes along with all that, along with routing and facilities, it's just not as easy as people think. When you talk about the Brandt Center and how much? About 19 million, did you say?
In deferred maintenance, yeah.
Like, what are the major things that needs to be done? Do you know that?
So I'm an accountant, not an engineer, but it's that core things. Like, eventually the roof needs to get replaced, the electrical, the ice plant, the slab, like the main slab on the main floor, right? Like, so we've, as a city, obviously run and operate a lot of rinks, and we had been shutting one down a year.
Yeah.
As you're in that game, and to do the maintenance that was required. Well, they were built around the same time as the Brandt Center. So, the Brandt Center's come to that age. And for us as a city, right, we just have the library, fire halls, everything kind of coming due here at once. And so the burden on the taxpayer might be quite high. So we felt like this was the right way to go. And we'll see. It'll go to Executive Committee of Council on Wednesday. And if passes that, it'll go to Council the following Wednesday.
Question from James, who's listening. There's a few questions here, and I listened to the presser. Agribition seems to won't be touched, or that's Brandt's committed to continuing.
Yeah, so we were very cognizant of the Agribition and the Queen City X, but specifically around the Agribition, obviously an important event for our community and for the province, and so we have clauses in there that incent him to continue that relationship. There's some tax incentives in the deal that continue if CWA continues to run. That being said, there's only so much you can do, and you're selling a building and someone else is taking it over. Where we're confident is that, Brandt's core business is agriculture.
Yeah.
So they've been involved, and Sean and Gavin Semple have both been on the boards at different time of the CWA. And so they're heavily involved in that show. That's their core business. The synergy too with Queen City Distilleries, who wouldn't want to have a week-long party with a restaurant sitting right in the middle? So, I think there's lots of economic incentives for that to continue to happen and to make even bigger and better. And I think Brandt will come out and speak to that as well, probably at some point. But we made sure that we did everything we could in the contract to keep it here and keep it strong, and I think it'll be even better than it has been.
I noticed that the big parking lot, so right outside, so that'd be south of the Brandt Center, that's included. That's going to be Brandt's now. Now, that obviously is really busy when it comes to Rider games. So will Brandt be controlling the parking lot there? I think that's where the tailgating is supposed to be going too.
Yeah, so we are selling the parking lot. So it's the whole parking lot west of Mosaic. So everything sort of to the Louvain from Mosaic. So yes, we do have a contract with the Riders right now to provide spaces, and that's built into this sales contract. So important in this was that, we're going to partner with him in resurfacing the parking lot. So we estimate it's going to cost about $5 million to resurface that parking lot. We're going to pay half, up to $2.5 million. So if it costs more, he's on the hook for that. But going forward, we ensured that we have access. We put a restrictive covenant on the title to make sure that parking lot's always there. And then we've ensured that he understands that we require X number of stalls, and we're going to work with the Riders just to make sure we get the right number. Here's X number of stalls that are going to be required for game day. Also, he's committed to, when we have high school football there, Rams games, etc., that the parking lot's going to be accessible. Again, he's going to be running a restaurant on the facility. So, and he, again, with the Pats and with all the things he's going to have at the Brandt Center, he needs to have a working, viable parking lot.
And then some of the other, like the Ag X building, Canada Center building, Commercial Cattle Barn, Queensbury Center. That's the one thing that kind of seems a little bit. Is it the full Queensbury Center, where Mosaic and all the rooms upstairs and everything there?
Yeah. So because of the connectedness of the building, right. It really and there's one main kitchen. So we kind of had to be creative, and so Brandt was really good with this and said, you know what? Yeah, we understand there's only one kitchen. If we want the kitchen, well, then comes with it the Queensbury Center. So yeah, he is buying the Queensbury Center. We are leasing back the main floor though, because that's where the dressing rooms are for the soccer center. So we're making sure that we have access to the dressing rooms for the soccer center. But he's going to own and operate the Queensbury and all of the events that go on there. Again, most of those things are commercial events, right? They're corporate dinners, they're high school graduations, etc. Those are kinds of things. So he'll have all the staff and the Levy contract to run those events.
What did we miss? I know there's a lot we probably missed, but just smart for the city to kind of, hey, we're out of this game. Yeah. This isn't, I fix cars. I'm not a hairdresser kind of thing.
I think the big thing for me and for the listeners of this show specifically around, heavy users of the facility is it's getting worn down. It's getting old. There's right. And to be able to just not have to go to the taxpayer all the time to say, hey, we need X number of dollars out of your pocket to fix this and that, and X number of your dollars to operate this facility and to take risk around this stuff. I think everyone's going to be happy as a user when you go in there 2-3 years later to go, you know what, we're starting to see changes. Service levels have changed. The parking lot's refinished. There's some improvements to the Brandt Center. Queen City Distilleries is there. I'm the money guy, so I'm very happy with the deal from a money perspective. But I think from a usability and it being part of the heartbeat of the city, I think people are going to be pretty happy. And
then and you know what? It shows his commitment to making this, giving the city kind of something and making it sexy again down there or as a whole. But That's a lot of work on the Brandt Center. Kudos to him,
Yeah. No, I 100% agree. And, his business that he chooses to headquarter here, that's now spread across Canada and the U.S.
Australia.
He has 2,500 employees that most live and work, obviously here in the city. And he wants to, and he can speak to this, but he is portrayed that he wants the city to be a place that everyone wants to live and his employees enjoy living. And so as owner of the Pats, he's sort of willing to step up and say, I'm going to improve things.
Thanks for coming in and doing this.
Appreciate it. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, it's been a busy day. And Wednesday will be interesting. Is it Wednesday?
Yeah, Wednesday is exec committee. So anybody out there that wants to come be a delegate, you can sign up by Monday at noon, I think. I don't know how that works.
You're the money guy.
I know I have to be there. So, but no, all good. Thanks for having me, Barney.
Daren Anderson, CFO from the city of Regina, joining us here in the Sports Cage. We'll be right back. If you missed it, the Regina Pat Canadians dumped Okanagan 5-4. Tight. Okanagan almost came back and tied it up, but the Pat Seas will finish first and take on Halifax tomorrow at last check. They didn't have the times yet updated. Western Hockey League Eastern Conference Final starting tonight in Prince Albert, 7 p.m. Raiders, Medicine Hat. We're going to talk to John Keane in hour 3 about that. Some Junior B puck going on in Saskatoon, the Central Canada Cup. Regina Capitals, Saskatoon Royals at 8 p.m. You can get all the details at sportscage.com on that. National Hockey League tonight. It's the Habs and Lightning starting in about 5 minutes time. Series tied 1-1. Oilers are in Anaheim, tied 1-1 with the Ducks. And then also tied 1-1. Vegas, Utah, 7:30 our time. Baseball, Blue Jays, Cleveland. First pitch is at 5:07, and then the Saskatchewan Roughriders signed American offensive lineman Justin Osborne today. Cleveland Browns draft pick. They're more than hockey, extreme hockey and sport, baseball, lacrosse, 3 locations, 2 in Regina, and now Temple Gardens Center in Moose Jaw. Under new management, they're local, extreme hockey and sport. Hour 3, lots of hockey talk, and Farhan Lalji back talking football. It is a Sports Cage. We'll be back after the news. Welcome back. Sports Cage Friday for Nelson Holmes, getting you into the weekend. Drive safe out there. Keep us updated on the text line, Paradigm Rentals text line, if anything we should pass on road-wise, 936-6262. John Keane's coming up in a bit. We're going to talk some WHL hockey. Farhan Lalji on the back half talking a lot of football. Oh, it's getting... Look at... we're watching the intro for the Montreal Tampa Bay game. It'd be awesome. I've never been to a game there. Yvonne Cornway just walked in. The torch place is going bonkers right now. Quickly, sprinkle of the day for sportsselect.com. Make your picks online now. Generate a QR code. This game's already off the board. But the other 2 games tonight, let's look at those. Vegas, Utah, of course, 5.5. Like the over tonight. Like the over there. Vegas 225, Utah 225 for a little tie action to go into overtime. Pays $3.55 on Sports Select. Then the other one, Oiler fans, road favorite, paying $2. Anaheim 245. Is there some value in the orange squad tonight? The over under 6.5 on that one. So you do you. I'm if anything here, I like the over in the Vegas Utah game at 5.5. Maybe I'll ride Anaheim one more time tonight. Make your bet picks online. Like I said, generate a QR code, scan it, your Lotto Spot retailer. Every bet is 100% legal. Must be 18 plus to play. When you're ready to play on the original Sports Select. Well, let's go out on the Western Pizza Guest Hotline. No need to cook tonight. Lots of hockey on. Weather's gross. He sent me a video a little while ago. He was at the driving range. John Keane, our WHL insider, joining us, voice of the Kamloops Blazers, does the Blaze podcast. So you're putting in the work at the range today? Or are you working out some kinks? What's wrong with the swing?
I mean, I always got kinks. I mean, let's be honest here. But my wife actually is taking lessons, and she really wanted to get out and hit some balls today. So I said, okay, after work, we'll go to Kamloops and we'll try to figure some things out here. So she's hitting it well. I got some work to do, but it's snowing there right now. Winter weather going on. What's going on?
Yeah, like the courses could be open, but it doesn't look. Yeah. Although I drove by a couple, like rugs look good, like ready to go, and then it's it's gross. We got that sleety kind of sideways snow right now. It is what it is. Before we get into the Eastern Conference final, Travis Crickard hired in Swift Current, our old stomping grounds. I looked up some of his elite prospects. He's from out east. Like he's an Easterner making his way to Swift. Do you know anything about him, Keener? What do you know about this hire for the Broncos?
Yeah, I would have met him when he was an assistant coach in Kelowna. He was working under with Dan Lambert at the time, right? And as you know, he's got some connections to Swift Current, so I think there was a connection that he would have vouched for him there. He's 39 years old, and he's played he's coached in every league, like CHL, right? Like Quebec, Western League, and OHL. He's also a Hockey Canada guy that they're trying to bring up. He's done some U18s and things like that. So he's very much on the radar. Apparently, he came in and just had like a really good presentation. Like he had like 100 slides, talked a lot of analytics and sort of the new way to play hockey and sort of the new school. And, I always equate it to Barney, that Simpsons episode when, the monorail guy comes into Springfield and sells them on the monorail. So he must have done a great job selling the board of directors there in Swift Current. He picks up the job.
Shelbyville never went with the monorail, if I remember correct. I don't know. Yeah, but the monorail salesman, he was a slick shooter. Poor Homer almost died in that episode.
That's right.
But the other thing too, when I look, he's played some NCAA hockey, Div 3 back in the day, and I know you mentioned it before, where maybe some of these teams are going to start getting someone with a lay of the land for the NCAA process down south.
Yeah, I think it's definitely a good, sort of side thing to have. I don't think it's at the forefront just yet, but if you have a little bit of knowledge of how things work down there, it's going to benefit you for sure. I don't think he's deep into the NCAA world, but at least he can say that in an interview, but it may sound pretty good. It's pretty trendy right now. So, I think everyone wants us to work. We all know issues there over the last number of years with the staff and different incidents. So I think they're looking to turn the page here. And, and they got 1 million draft picks. Like if you look at their draft board, Barney, I think it's like 9 firsts over the next 4 years or something. Like they have a ton of picks here to play with.
Have you heard anything on the Regina Pats coaching front?
I haven't really heard much at all. And I think, you had Dale on your show there, and that was a pretty good interview. But yeah, I think, these hires definitely, ownership will play a role, and I'm not sure how much hands they'll have on the hire there in Regina. It's really early, right? Like it's April right now. Sometimes coaches want to explore if there's NHL options first, and maybe if something doesn't work out there, then they sort of trickle down to the Western League. So we'll see how deep they want to, keep the search going in Regina, but they got time on their side for sure before they have to make a decision.
What do you think about possibility of Semple and the Brandt group picking up the old girl, the old Agrodome Brandt Center?
Well, I guess they wouldn't have to pay for the naming rights anymore. I mean, they saved themselves $50K right there, I guess. But yeah, that's interesting, Barney. You're more plugged into that than I am, but I follow some Regina media, and it seems like it's a pretty big deal here to sort of have a big chunk of the Brandt Center. And, I don't know where that's going to go. You probably know more than I do, but I think it's interesting to maybe try to, extend that band a little bit more.
That needs like $19 million in fix-up. So, hey, you want to take it and you can do some things with it. Go nuts. Yeah, and then just there are other parts of the campus as well. So, in theory, it makes sense. And then the city's like, hey, we out of this. We're in the monorail business, which was a 1993 episode, Marge versus the monorail. So that's how old we are. That's how old we are, Keener. Okay, Medicine Hat, Prince Albert, handicap this one for us.
Boy, it's tough. It's tough. Like, these two teams played each other 4 times in the regular season. They both twice. In fact, I think I want to say they scored equal amount of goals against each other, like 16 apiece, right? So it definitely is one of those things where it's a tough series to really handicap. Both teams are deep. Both teams are well coached. Farhan is my pick for Coach of the Year. He was on my ballot that I get. So it's going to be a great series. I think it probably goes 6 or 7, and I think everybody enjoy the series out east for sure.
I wonder if PA maybe has a little bit of an upper hand with the home ice advantage and that Art Hauser Center, and it is just going to be, you've been in there when it's packed as well. I wonder if that, and I think from what I was watching, PA maybe does lean a little bit more heavy than Medicine Hat, or am I wrong there?
I think they have a little bit more of that. Medicine Hat Medicine Hat's going to beat you with speed and skill, but the back end is still quite big size there. But you're right. Medicine Hat hasn't had to go on the road to open up a series in so long now, right? You got to go back to 2023 because they had home ice advantage through the playoffs all last year. So this is the first time they got to open up on the road. And you know how it is on the road on the weekend. You're just trying to win one of those games, take it back to home ice. So that gets out of the Art Hauser. I think they'll be excited about that this weekend.
All right, Keener. The connection's breaking up a bit, but we got you, and I know you're at the range. So, quick, maybe last thing, is Everett just too much out there in the West for Penticton?
I don't know if they're too much, but I just think that that Everett's on a bit of a destiny run right now. They've put in all the work to be ready for this playoff run. Landed DuPont's out of this world right now. Penticton, I think the feeling is right now they feel maybe they're on house money. And you know what? Great. That's awesome. You're at the Western Conference Final. Whenever I hear terms like we're on house money, it seems like you're pretty happy with how your season went, and maybe you're ready to pack it in. But that series will go back to Penticton, really see what the V's have for sure.
Okay, I do have one more question quickly. Chilliwack franchise. Why do I feel that it's weird that we really don't know who the owner is or what's going on there?
Yeah, you know what? There was a report out of Abbotsford that they have an ownership group in place the WHL was happy with, but this group is more than hockey. They're about entertainment. They're about owning the building, bringing in, all sorts of musical acts and things like that. And for that to happen, it sounds like the city of Chilliwack basically turn over the keys to the arena and be like, you guys go at it. You have it. You have your way. And I think a little bit of reportedly cold feet about that. I don't know if that can be, patched up or rectified. It sounded like everything was going down the right path to this happening, not for next year, but the after. But it seems like there's a little bit of a kink, if you will, that needs to be worked out before they decide that it's going to be a done deal.
Okay. It is a little weird there then. Yeah. They're in the entertainment. Maybe they'll bring in the Goo Goo Dolls with Toad the Wet Sprocket and Better Than Ezra. There we go. There's a bill for the 90s fans in us. Keener, thanks so much, man. Enjoy things, and let's catch up again here soon.
Okay, guy. See you, man. Take care.
Right on. Kamloops Blazers play-by-play guy. Great follow on Twitter at John Keane NL Sports. He is dialed when it comes to anything with the Western Hockey League. Also runs the Blaze podcast. I encourage you to go download those episodes and listen to them. He knows his stuff. John Keane joining us here on the Western Pizza Guest Hotline. They're 3 minutes in Montreal, or 0-0. Right now between the Lightning and the Habs. It's break time. It's the Sports Cage, streaming through our YouTube channel at sportscage.com. Okay, I'm going to let you go first, Colson, with your clutch performers.
Okay. Hold up here. NFL draft last night. I don't know if you saw, but there was a wide receiver by the name of Makai Lemon.
Okay.
So he's on the phone with the Eagles because they're going to draft him. And while he's on the phone with the Eagles... with the Steelers who are going to draft him. While he's on the phone with the Steelers, The Eagles trade up to the pick above them
I heard about this.
and steal him on air. So as you're watching the stream, he's talking to the Steelers like, why is Philly calling? Why is Philly calling? And the Eagles traded up for him. His agent hands him another phone, and the Eagles pick him. So
That's great theater.
clutch to the Eagles for making that snipe. Because, like, it's happened before where guys have traded and snagged a player beforehand. But, like, literally, while he's on the phone with the other team, I was like, that's awesome.
That is really good. I did hear about that this morning. Montreal just scored about 5 minutes in, leading 1-0. Your second one?
A second one. Who is the best 57th overall draft pick that you can think of off the top of your head?
Oh, man.
I'll give you
What league?
NFL, but I'll give you an easy one. Devin Hester
Okay.
is a 57th overall. He has partnered with Heinz Ketchup because their number is 57.
Yeah.
And for the 57th draft pick this year, they're giving him a custom 57
Oh, that's
jacket
slick.
and an unlimited lifetime supply of ketchup. And I'm like, okay, that's fantastic. And I don't have it zoomed in enough that you can see, but the buttons are in the shape of the Heinz logo too. Like, they went all out with this. So Heinz,
That's awesome.
Hester, great matchup.
Reminds me of my old teammate Chad Hintz, who played in Moose Jaw, and he wore number 57.
There you go.
That was
Hold him
interesting.
Heinz for short.
Okay, I guess the NFL draft and just everyone that I thought, like the aerial view, it is like a U2 concert in London.
I was going to say Metallica in the USSR.
Yeah, or one of those South American countries where they have those outdoor concerts and there's like 1 million people attending.
Yeah.
It is just wacko. Like how they first off pull it all just to watch somebody go across the stage.
And
like when you think about really what you're watching
and get the most awkward hug ever.
and why you're there, it's like yeah, really interesting. Okay, and then my last one, the Utah Mammoth. So the Arizona Coyotes did this in Phoenix. I got pictures of my kids. We were going down, and that 1 year, the Arizona Coyotes, when we had our place there,
Yep.
so the kids would have been, I don't know, like 2 and 4, let's say.
Sure.
They would take old jerseys and give Coyotes jerseys. I think it was just for kids, though. So we're up in Canada, we're going down. I'm like, man, let's just go to Valley Village or somewhere and grab a couple of old hockey jerseys.
Yeah.
So we went, took them down, and the kids got brand new Arizona Coyote jerseys. The Utah Mammoth are doing that. Bring your Golden Knights jersey, and look at the lineup. It's like 3-4 blocks long.
Yeah.
Maybe 2. But this was this morning. So people with their Golden Knights jerseys, trading them in. Utah.
I saw a video of the bin of people literally just chucking them in the bin.
Oh, really?
So it wasn't just because I know Canada did this recently with their soccer team because they did trade your Italy for Canada jerseys.
Yeah.
But they didn't actually take the Italy jerseys. This one, they were taking the Golden Knight jerseys.
I'd like to know what they're going to do with them. Right?
I hear you on that one.
Yeah. Clutch Performer is for Keln Solar. Anything you need solar, if you're thinking solar, maybe we'll put up some solar this year. Get them to come out and quote local company from Lumsden, Saskatchewan, Keln Solar. Some more time to kill. Here come in the text messages that came in. People really liked Daren Anderson interview in studio. And where's the one? Yeah, the couple people asking, how is Brandt going to chase events? How is Brandt going to bring in events? Well, they'll hire a promoter, and if they do everything kind of top notch. They're bringing in somebody. Some people, if the sale goes through for the Brandt Center, I sure hope I can get one of those orange vests from Real and toss it in a frame and hang it on the wall in the cage.
We'd hang it.
Yeah, that's good. What are other people saying here besides the roof? Yeah, well, Daren said the roof allegedly needs to be done at the Brandt Center and then possibly the main floor. I'm sure there's other. It's 1977 model. That thing is old.
When was the Briar here? That was like 2-3 years ago in a pipe burst.
The leak on the ice.
Right? Yeah. There's stuff that needs fixing.
But hey, and the city Get out of that biz. Someone's going to take all this aging infrastructure, spruce it up, make it better, make the city better. I'm all for it. Jeffrey's just tuning in. He's really late. The Brandt Center is actually worth negative $10.3 million because that's the repairs. It needs $19 million in repairs.
Yeah.
That's a real number. That's real. If you missed it and you want to win a backyard putting green installed professionally by the Classic Landscape Company, we're giving it away Friday, May 1st. The keyword today, 936-6262, was Eagle. Just text in Eagle, 936-6262, and you're in to win.
You don't need to make one, just text one in.
A backyard putting green from the Classic Landscape Company.
It's time for the Sports Ticker, brought to you by Steelcraft Doors Regina, made in Western Canada for Western Canadians.
If you missed it earlier, the Regina Pat Canadians did win today, but Okanagan gave them all they could handle. Pat Canadians are going to finish first after pool play. They will take on Halifax tomorrow in the semifinals in Peterborough. Game time still is not up. Either noon our time or 4 o'clock our time. If anyone knows, send it in 936-6262. Medicine Hat Tigers, Prince Albert Raiders start the East Division final tonight in PA, 7 o'clock puck drop. Some Junior B hockey going on in Saskatoon. The Royals, Regina Capitals in the Central Canada Cup at 8 p.m. Follow sportscage.com for details on that. National Hockey League right now, it is tied. Tampa Bay just scored on the power play, 1-1 in the first period of play. Later tonight, Edmonton's at Anaheim, and Vegas is at Utah. Major League Baseball, Blue Jays are taking on the Cleveland Guardians. Currently, my internet's too slow to give you a score. Sorry about that. Riders signed an American offensive lineman today, Justin Osborne, 2025 NFL draft with the Cleveland Browns. Signed as an undrafted free agent. 2025, spent the season in Cleveland. SportsCage.com poll today. Do you think Michaela Kleisinger will be the head coach of the University of Regina Cougars? You can vote at SportsCage.com. Regina Steelcraft Doors, who brings you the Sports Ticker, made in Western Canada for Western Canadians. They got a 40,000 square foot facility, Steelcraft Doors in Regina. Oh, look at this. I love it. Brianna, I think it's the number last time, the start time for the Pat Canadians is at 12 p.m. our time. So they got the early one tomorrow. I was hoping they'd get a little more time to rest. Thanks for that. The Challenge, 12 p.m. Well, I know what I'm doing at 12 p.m. tomorrow. Watching the Regina Pat Canadians. If you're looking at where you can watch that, it's HN Live. It is a paid subscription. They do a great job. There's play-by-play HN Live if you want to watch the Regina Pat Canadians game at noon tomorrow against Halifax. Talked a lot of football with Farhan Lalji earlier, right at the start of the show, so we're going to redo it again. NFL draft, CFL draft, a little bit of Vancouver Canucks sprinkled in. So we'll go to break, and when we come back, it will be Farhan Lalji. The Sports Cage on Fridays is for Nelson Homes, supplying home packages and RTMs for over 65 years. Farhan, after the break.